Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm Sheri Braithwaite. And just to tell you, some who don't know or maybe new to the group, I am the facilitator of the group or admin for Thriving Singles Community that I mentioned. And it is just a group of middle-aged Christian singles and influencers the people who want to be, who are interested in personal development, and then those who teach that kind of stuff. Coaches and therapists and there's public speakers and I think I've even mentioned there's some movie producers in here too, some film producers, movie makers, whatever they're called. But they are also in this group, so that's been fun. They reached out to me a little bit and talked about stuff that they're doing. So that's my group, and I want it to be very personable. I'm also very careful. So this is the reason why, Corey, why I was feeling like it maybe a personal need to interview you about this, is because I have this community of people that want to stay safe, right? They don't want to be scammed. And I usually do, I call it a deep dive into their profiles. And I want to learn all of those things that I should be looking for. I have picked up on a few, just my own wisdom, but some have slipped past me, and then I have noticed other women in my group that have, they friended them also, and then anyway, so we've been communicating and we're saying, warning, this guy's a scammer. And so anyway, that's why, for my interest, I want to be able to protect my group as well, with people that come in, and then teach them for themselves also what they should look for. So anyway, Corey is, I feel like I'm rambling. I just slow down.
All
Corey,
right.
okay, Hubert, is that how you say your name?
Hubbard.
Hubbard. Sorry. Okay, Hubbard. Corey Hubbard. Okay, he is a special agent for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So that's something that we cannot advertise on when we do the public advertisings. It's how did we say it? Law enforcement agent for, anyway, we just have to be
federal agent, federal law enforcement, but yeah.
He works for the FBI, so he
doesn't like their name broadcast out as an advertisement. So yeah.
Oh, gotcha. And
it's a whole bunch of paperwork if we have to do that. So
yeah, that does make sense. So if you're representing the FBI, then people want to know that anyway, why you're doing it and what you're saying and who you're talking to and what.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm coming out as officially for the FBI, then the media department wants to know like what kind of questions are going to be asked, and make sure I don't say anything crazy and misrepresent the bureau or embarrass them. Worse of embarrass them. So yeah, I mean, this is more just a community thing. I mean, I get asked a lot of time. I don't need permission to go to like a school and talk to kids about internet safety. I don't have permission. I need permission to go to a college and talk about recruiting or working for the bureau. So there's a lot of things I can do in the community where I'm just going out and representing myself, and then what my job is, and just kind of my knowledge. So where I don't need that permission. But if you were to say, hey, we're hosting Corey on 60 Minutes and he's an FBI agent, yeah, I think the bureau would want to know.
Yeah,
I'm going on 60 Minutes.
So when
they'd probably freak out first, and then
So when we book you for 60 Minutes, we'll make sure to get all the
our media department gets contacted.
Yeah, exactly. So just if you don't mind, Corey, I want to introduce you more to not only the group that's here, but myself. I don't know you very well either. So I want to just get some getting to know you questions. I like to start with a few of those. And my first question is, and this was not something that I thought of asking earlier, but my first question is, how do we know that you're the real Corey Hubbard? How do we know that you're not a scammer?
Well, that's really good to know. Well, I mean, I do have a couple of
you have your ID?
I have some media presence. I don't have my ID with me right now. It's behind me. It's on my table, but yeah, I could show my credentials, but a couple things you could do. I mean, you could call headquarters, the FBI headquarters, and ask them if I'm a special agent.
There.
You can go to LinkedIn and look at my LinkedIn professional profile. So there I'm overt and you know, I'm open about my job, and I have all the information about my career on LinkedIn. So that's another place. And if you see a picture that looks like me,
Yeah,
I think the picture is without a beard. So we have to do we have to draw in a beard to see how I look.
So we have someone that wants to join our group, Diagnostics iPhone. Do we want to admit them?
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe that's someone from the FBI that's spying on you.
Diagnostics iPhone. Yeah, that's a hacker. So you can also go to you can go to Instagram and Facebook and just kind of look at profiles. And then one thing that's very important about profiles is, and this is a double-edged sword. So you men and women out there that don't use Facebook very much, it looks suspicious. So you can go look at my Facebook wall and go back in history and go, wow, this goes back, you know, 15 years. And you can see, you know, when Corey had hair and his kids were really small.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see that, wow, Corey, this is really hard to make up a fake profile with like children that are aging and Corey's aging and, you know, that kind of stuff. So when I get a friend request, the first thing I do is look at the profile.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go through and I'm like, there's only like 4 posts.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's flowers and a guy riding a bike and like a sunset. I'm like, now that's very suspicious. Like, where are the people? Like, where are the pictures of the person who's friend requesting me? So like I said, it's a double-edged sword. So if you're like not a very good Facebook user, you don't post a lot of pictures, but you're jumping on Facebook because you'd like to meet Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, and your profile looks like it's got 5 posts and that's it, and it's just ridiculous posts or little memes, then yeah, I mean, that would seem suspicious to me.
Yes, I do consider that, but I also consider the fact that, like, for my personal instance, there was a time when I was scammed and money stolen from my account and whatever on my Facebook page. So and then also some of my friends were worried about someone that got into my friends and was doing weird things. So I actually unfriended everyone for their safety and then to get rid of this guy and block him and whatever, or woman, whoever it was. But I started over completely. I actually might have even deleted all my pictures and all my stories. And so if someone were to search mine, deep dive in, they would probably find, I think it's been less than 2 years that I've been doing it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. So that I consider that too, that there might be someone like that had to start a new profile, but that's a good one. Anyway,
so if you're one of those people out there that really just don't use Facebook, but you're using Facebook to find somebody, man, start generating stuff. Maybe you know, and also be careful now. It's going to take you time to build your profile, because another thing I look at is the start date. So if you go down the wall, it's like the start date was, you know, March 1st, 2022. That's suspicious, right? And then there's only 4 posts, and it's like March, you know, 1st, March 4th, March 8th, and that's it. And you're like, 4 posts. Sounds like somebody just set up a profile and now they're out there trying to make friends. So
yeah, so we can tell that you're the real Corey Hubbard, because you sound like you know what you're talking about. We believe that it's you. But then some have said, I think that, yeah, Celeste said it's faux Corey. She said that. These hecklers, you've got hecklers.
Oh yeah, yeah, I like to heckle. That's okay. I like it. It's fun.
So Corey, tell us, why did you decide to work for the FBI? What was the interest there? I mean, it would be an exciting job, I think. Especially.
Well, I think I've always, as growing up, always felt like I had a desire to work in law enforcement or work with people. Mostly kind of like I do have a rescuer personality, which is, you know, why I tend to date. Or at least I was married to somebody who was always desiring somebody who could rescue them. So that's a whole nother story.
Right?
That's a whole nother story. But yeah, so I have a rescuer personality. And I think during my mission, I met some people that were in law enforcement, like LDS people that were in law enforcement. And I think when I was out kind of working in public and I just like that whole working in the community. There were times where we were going by the basketball courts, and some of the guys playing basketball in the inner city were like, "Hey, come over and play with us." And we're like, "Sure." We're in our white shirts and ties, but we play a pickup game of basketball with them and hand out some Book of Mormons. And I think just the overall, like, working with people and helping people. I thought, what career could I do where I could do that? And so I always thought law enforcement. And so it took a while to get in. For the FBI, it's the premier law enforcement in the world. I mean, and you hear about that all the time, but being in it, I get requests all the time to travel to other countries to teach like law enforcement investigative techniques to other agencies. And so, FBI is kind of considered the premier. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to do law enforcement, I'm going to try for the best. And that's kind of my personality, is like, sometimes it's defeating because you try to do something that's like, well, way beyond what you can do. But the FBI was like, if I'm going to try out for the best law enforcement, I'm going to do that one. So
yeah. So what was your experience that landed the job? What did you have to do?
Well, when I was in college, I tried to get in, but this is all back in like the late 90s. So I was getting ready to finish college. I'm like, I'm going to join the FBI. They had a booth at the career day, and I go and talk to them, and I go there, I'm all excited, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just looking for lawyers, accountants, like people in the military or former cops." And I'm like, man, I'm none of that stuff, because I was in business school, but on the side, I was a big computer nerd. And so I was always working with computers and doing things with computers, and I was joining computer clubs. But this is only a few years after the internet was kind of created anyway, or the World Wide Web. So it's kind of its infancy. So these guys, the FBI's like, "No, we don't want guys like you." So I was like, all right. So I just went out and did computer work, and I did computer work for about, 10 years. And then soon after 9/11, the Bureau kind of woke up and said, wow, like all these terrorists are in caves, but they all had computers. And they're like, I think we need to get into the computer world. So cyber crimes like rose to like the very top priority for the Bureau. It's like number one.
Wow.
And it was an interesting story. I kind of put it out of my mind. I was doing computer work, and it's one of those like prompting moments where I was just sitting there working, and then there's this very strong prompting that said, "Hey, check out FBIjobs.gov, right? Like, check out if they're hiring." And I was like, I don't know. I doubt they're hiring. I had such a letdown when they told me no, college career day. So, but then I kept ignoring it, and then the thought kept coming even more powerful, like really like do it. So I'm like, fine. So I search, and then I'm looking at their job requirements, and like cyber was like their number one, like computer guys were like their number one hiring priority. And I was like, whoa. So I put in for it, and within like a month, I got like a packet in the mail to come start the testing process and all the recruiting process. So yeah, it was surprising, but
that's
exciting.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm not surprised that it turned out that way, just because I am with you on the prompting thing. And when you get an idea that's not really your own, you just there's something good will come out of it. That's so cool. So let me think. I bet there's some good questions that other people have. I have some good questions, but I want to ask you so have you only done cyber, or have you done other things with the FBI?
Well, when I first got in, I came in 2004, and my first office assignment was Salt Lake City. So of all places, like I never lived in Utah my entire life. I'm one of those California Mormons that, that all the Utahns hate right now, because they're all moving to Utah right now. So
I hope they don't.
So I'm a California Mormon who does not live in Utah. But at the time, I moved to Utah in 2004 or 2005. And that was my first office assignment for 3 years. And because of my background, they put me on the cyber squad. Now, back in that time frame, we had multiple programs in cyber. So we worked computer hackers. We did the computer fraudsters, like people who defraud on the internet, a lot of eBay fraud, a lot of PayPal fraud, a lot of that kind of stuff, Craigslist, and then we also had crimes against children. So it was called internet crimes against children. That's your predators online trying to entice kids to meet with them, kind of like the Catch a Predator. You remember that that
Yeah.
series that was on TV back in the day. So it's kind of like that. And then we had a lot of like distribution and trafficking in child pornography. So
Gosh.
I worked all those violations prior.
Wow.
So
So I don't know if this is, I just keep having these questions that come up. So tell me if this leads you away from what you want to talk about,
oh, it's fine.
just go with the flow. I am curious. Well, I want to know what kind of crimes there are, what happens, and then like what are the consequences for these people? How do we recognize it? How do all those things? How do we prevent it from happening? How do we anyway, I'm sure I'll have a million questions, but to start off, what are the kinds of things that these cyber criminals are doing? I know stealing money, I have a handful.
Yeah, most of it's financial, like it's financially motivated fraud. So so if a guy hacks, I mean, he's gonna hack for number one reason people hack is to find financial reasons it's financial reasons. So if they hack a company, they're gonna try to install ransomware. Ransomware is software that goes and grabs all the important files on computers and encrypts them. And then they present you with a screen that says, to unlock your files, you have to pay. That's what they call it, ransomware. So they're holding your files for ransom, and then you have to pay using crypto, and then they release them. Some major cities have been hit with this, and they had to pay millions in crypto to get the key to unlock all the files. That's the big crime wave, is like the whole ransomware stuff. We also see a lot of what we call business email compromises. That's like the next level down. We'll see this with big companies all the way down to like you and I. And the big companies, what they'll do is they'll compromise an email account, or they'll spoof an email account or an email address that looks very similar. So maybe it's Corey Hubbard, but the O's are all zeros, right? So they'll change it up, and so it looks like Corey and it looks like my email, but it's a different guy, and he's changed like the O's to zeros. And your eye doesn't quite catch that, right?
Yeah.
So they'll send you an email and they'll say, hey, I've changed our banking instructions. That big shipment from Hong Kong that's coming in, I need you to wire the money to a different account. And so that's called a business email compromise. And that's done through trickery, and it's done through, convincing the person that you are the vice president of the company, or that you are, somebody important in the company. And normally the lower peons that are handling all the financial transactions are like, oh my gosh, the president of the company, he's really upset that this shipment's late, and he wants the payment done right now, and I better get it done now. And he's giving me these shipping instructions, and you end up wiring money to a bad guy. So, and then like you and I fall into that trap when we're selling houses. So like, say I sell my house and I want the proceeds from my house. So I made some money on my house and I want the proceeds wired to me. What will happen is somebody will see that there's a transaction going on between like the real estate agent and the person selling the house, the person buying the house, and they'll insert themselves in some of that traffic with a fake email account. And they'll say, hey, it's Corey. My bank's not able to receive the money, so I've opened up another account. Can you wire it to this money? And wire it to my account. And then people they just trust email. They just trust this whole communication process, and they just go and do it without any phone calls. Yeah. And then my proceeds get wired to somebody in Mexico or Hong Kong or Nigeria. And trying to get that money back could be very, very, very troublesome. So those are some like major corporate type stuff.
Yeah. So what do you tell people about what to look for? I mean, obviously they need to know that who they're communicating with. Most people probably won't call you on the phone, from what I've heard too. Like these companies that you work with.
We've gotten away from talking on the phone. That's the weird thing. So I think for me, I'm always going to ask to have a phone call. Like if somebody calls and says, wire me money, I'm going to make a phone call. I'll be like, I'll text back, call me. If they don't call me, then I'm not going to give you any money. So, and usually it's, if somebody sends you an email, like say somebody sends me an email file, and I'm like, why did they get this attachment from Sheri? I'm going to text you and say, did you send me an attachment? Yeah. And you'll say, yeah, it's the questions for the podcast. I wanted you to read through them. I'm like, okay, now I've established that you did send me a file, and now I'm going to open it. I feel like you're not a hacker who's saying open a file and it's full of malware. So
yes, I think that's actually a practice that I have gotten into with what I do. I will usually send a text to someone to say that says, I just sent you an email or whatever. So I think that's good too, to let people know.
it's like verbal two-factor authentication.
Yeah, it's true. And I didn't even think about that, but it's true. That does help for sure, people to know that they can trust. So I wanted to share my screen. You have something too. Do you
Yeah,
saw
go
what
ahead.
I was going to show? Is this a good time? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
okay. So, but I'm hoping, see, I'm kind of concerned about this. Tell me if it's a bad idea. There's a girl that shared it on her page, and then I shared it on my page. So I didn't get permission from her. So I don't know if I should show it because it has her name on it.
Well, if you shared it on your page, I don't think she's too concerned about that.
Okay. So let's see. It is, so this is what I found the other day. I'm gonna make this, if I can build this up bigger. So can you just see only the pictures of these men?
Yeah, just the pictures, yeah.
Okay. So some, I don't know how, if these were all her friends that she's found, or if it was someone else that did this. But it has these three men. I don't even know if you can see my pointer, probably not, but there's three men on here, exactly the same. And there are these other two men, Frank and Winston are twins, and Devin and Frank and Alan are triplets. So they have these pictures, they steal these pictures, and they create these profiles, and then they friend all these women. So here's my take on it, or my feeling on it, is that I don't feel like they are hurting me unless they ask me for something, and when I don't want to give it, I'm not gonna give them money. And I just don't know that it hurts to have them as my friend until I find that they're a scammer, and I'll unfriend them or whatever. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you think, I think if I know for sure, I'm not going to friend them, and I always block them when I realize that. Maybe you can give us some tips on how to, for Facebook socializing, what are some things we can?
So it's interesting. It's interesting what there's a couple things you can do. So like that, you can see there's similar pictures, and a lot of times the criminals are very lazy, and they want things easy. So once they find a picture that works, like that, when they create a profile with a certain guy's picture, and these are pictures that they get off the internet, they then, if it works, they're going to use it on other profiles. And they're just hoping that you guys won't create that collage of the same guy with different names, right? So yeah, they're just going to hope that
with all my
they
friends.
don't care. And they don't really care if they get caught, because they're casting their net like wide out there. And if a few people catch on to them, who cares? They've got thousands of other women out there they might dupe into friend requesting them, or accepting their friend request. And the idea is that they were trying to find a picture that's not grossly obnoxious, like, oh my gosh, there's no way that picture they just took off of like the GQ magazine cover, and there's no way that's a real picture. Like they're trying to find real pictures out there to try to make like a real profile.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and again, you won't know until maybe you have an interaction with the person. So like for me, like what happened to me and why I posted a few weeks ago about be careful is because I thought I recognized somebody that did like a request on Instagram, and I'm not too familiar with Instagram. I was kind of playing around with it. So I did, and I just in passing, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that person. So I did the follow, right? And then immediately, like within like 30 minutes, I'm getting a hi, like out of the blue, hi. And I'm like, well, if I knew this person, they would have been like, hi, Corey, or hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. What you doing? It was just hi. And I'm like, all right, that's totally suspicious.
Yeah.
And then I went back and looked at their profile again, now a little more serious. And I noticed that it had just been started like 3 months ago. And I started looking at some of the pictures, and I'm like, oh, come on, there's no way this person's friend requesting me. Like, out of all the guys in the world, they're like clicking on my picture, like, no. Yeah. So I totally unfollowed them right away. I removed them. And I'm like, come on, let's be real. I mean, it plays on your ego. Like I have to admit, as a mortal man, for 5 seconds. I was like, hey, I think I got it.
Yes.
And then I was like, bloop, nope. Like, come back to reality.
That's so funny that you say that. I love it because that was my first clue in all of these scammers. And I don't have low self-esteem. I just know, I just don't think that they would think that we're a good match. Anyway,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
all I was saying. I was like, come on.
Well, and if they say, if they're really cheesy with their approach to like, hey, and they say words like lovely, I just can't see those men saying words like that.
Weird stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so but here's the challenge. I still have the challenge of wanting to make friends for sure. Still,
Oh, yeah.
But I still want to be kind. I don't want to all of a sudden jump to conclusions. So the way
Yeah.
I've been doing it now that I'm finding all these scammers is that I actually just tell them, and I want to know that you're not going to waste my time.
Yeah.
So would you be willing to share a selfie or a video? I don't know if that's weird.
I would do a video. I would do a voice call, and then maybe I would ask them up front. So I've done this where I've accepted a friend request and like on Facebook, and then somebody will say hi, or but they do something a little bit more kind of. They'll say, hi, how you doing? Thanks for friend requesting me. I saw your profile, whatever. They speak more than just hi. And I think that another clue is when you see the hi, I picture like this big call center where they got screens up and they're over here going, hi, right? And they're just trying to see which woman or man gets hooked, and then he's like, hey, I got one. And then they all cuddle around the monitor. All right, let's reel him in.
The next day, we want to friend you.
Ask him what he's wearing.
Oh my gosh. So that's how I've been able to stop many recently is just there are some things that I can see that there's no way that this is a real person. And so this happens for men and women, right? Someone asked that. I think there was a man in the group that said it happens to men too. So your advice.
I think it happens to men because men are very physical creatures. Like I think with women do like a good-looking man, but there's more that a woman wants besides a good-looking man, right? They kind of want somebody who's can hold a conversation, maybe tell a joke or two, make you laugh, right? So women, guys are just kind of like, dude, she's hot. I don't care if she knows how to talk or not. I mean, it's like guys are just kind of ridiculous that way sometimes. So let me show you. I'm going to share my screen now.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let me bring this one up. So you get these on WhatsApp. So I have WhatsApp, right? And a lot of my friends and colleagues use it. So that's a good question. I'm going to ask you about. A lot of them will ask if I have a WhatsApp account. Do I want to? That's so WhatsApp is WhatsApp's an encrypted app, so that's kind of why. But WhatsApp is a super popular application internationally, and so a lot of times they try to get you onto WhatsApp. And then another way is that WhatsApp is they have a lot of like desktop applications. So you'll be chatting with somebody, but it won't be necessarily on somebody's phone. It will be on somebody's computer, like I'm showing you now. So here you can see this came in, right? And it's just this random, you can see where it says, this is the first time this person's ever chatted with me, because you can see where it says, today, right now, this person and you have end-to-end encryption established. So we've never had a chat before. And out of the blue, this is a famous picture in WhatsApp, and I'll show you her picture in a second. And it says, are you Dr. Carter? My puppy is very slow and does not eat dog food. Can you make an appointment with me? Like, this is a weird thing, right?
Oh, it's so funny.
So,
and then when you reply that says, no, I'm not Dr. Carter, then what does she do? I mean, why does it hurt to have her messaging you? That's my question.
It's just weird, right? But here's what it is. And so you look at her profile picture, here it is. Okay, so she's trying to play, she's playing on, I say she, but it's probably a he doing this, a scammer.
Yeah.
But he probably found some Asian pictures and he's like, I'm going to play on all these men out there. And you know, she looks like the nice little submissive, you know, female, you know, and I don't know, but that's her profile picture. And I've seen other profile pictures of her. She's had different looks and different poses. Let's see if you were to, so if I were to show you, I don't know if I can zoom this in. Oh yeah, so that's her same picture. But anyway, but yeah, you can see that, like the scam on that, right?
Yeah.
Like she doesn't know me. She's never texted me before. Why is she acting like I'm her veterinarian?
Right. Well, she's just
So weird.
it
So
is
weird.
weird, random. So, but here's the thing that also has brought up as a concern. So Winston, there isn't an actual man. Obviously, these are real people that have a different name. They just found this profile, and I didn't get permission to say his name, so I won't say it in here. But he lives in Salt Lake, and now because this picture is going around. He was obviously concerned that people won't friend him because oh yeah, I know who you are, you know, I know the
scammer.
Yeah. So then yeah, like you were like I would say, how do I know
Yeah,
that
that's a tough one. So I'll show you a trick. Well, not really a trick, but something you can do. Let me see if I can bring it up.
So I told this person that I would be willing to hold an interview with him like this, and they could see the real person. This is
I think that would be a good idea.
Or he could just do his own, right? He could just do his own. Oh yeah, Celeste is also saying, suggest that you FaceTime them. That's a good way. But sometimes you don't care enough. Like it's just someone you barely know, and they might not care to do a FaceTime with you unless there's some kind of interest. But anyway.
Yeah, so let me share my screen really quick one more time.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I've got this one. All right, so in here, you'll see this is Google Images. So if you go to images.google.com, you can download a picture. So you can download any of those pictures of Winston or whoever you think he is, and you can click on this little camera button, and you can upload the image right here. So you can select an image.
Okay.
Right.
You can upload that Asian.
Yeah. So go to my desktop. And let's see, where is that?
I'll cut this out of our recorded videos.
No, it's okay. I'm trying to find out where that's at. So let me try, if I try to drag and drop it over.
Oh yeah.
So I drag it over. And so what it's going to do now is it's going to search for that picture.
Oh my gosh, look at her.
And it's going to see all these. So this is a model.
But it's not her. All of them are not her, right? They're not all her, but maybe.
No. So, but yeah, so you can see all of these images where this person pops up. So here you go, dating in India. So she's a picture of like dating in India. So I mean, you can see where this picture shows up on different dating websites, right?
Yeah. Whoa.
So, and it's the same picture, right? So you can do these quick little
that's a good idea.
These Google image searches, and you can search on a picture to see if that picture shows up in any weird, suspicious, things.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
Helpful. Yeah, that's very helpful.
So that's one thing you could do if you want to check on somebody, right? You can check the images.
I actually did that today. I didn't do it the right way though. I think I did something like I don't know. I typed something in like, I don't remember the word now, but it's check for duplicates or whatever, duplicate.
Yeah. So yeah, Google Images is very, very, very powerful.
What I typed in, face recognition. So that.
Yeah. But it'll show you anywhere on the internet where that same picture shows up. So if you see some of those pictures of Winston or whoever that guy is, you can see if they showed up in like Instagram or other dating sites. And so we call these romance scams at work. So romance scams, they start off on dating sites. They find people who are desperate. They really want to meet somebody. And then they become their dream person online. But then they come out and they say, look, I live overseas, and, things are really tough here. And, I can't speak to you right now because I can't pay my phone bill. So they start off with small dollar amounts. Like, I can't pay my phone bill, so we can't talk until I get somebody to pay my phone bill. Well, wait a minute, we're not going to talk anymore. Hold on, I'll pay your phone bill. Where do I send the money? Right. So they get you, they hook you little by little, and then eventually get you used to sending money to them. And they get it streamlined through Western Union. And then they'll hit you with the big one. Like, I really want to come see you, but I can't afford it. And I could buy the tickets cheaper here if you can send me the money, right? It's that kind of stuff, you know. It's and I don't know, they hook you. They hook you and they trick you. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad.
That's where I think I feel somewhat safe, in that I don't give, you know, unless I feel safe, unless I know that it's for real, a real deal. And that
I don't get my cell number out either. So I stay on the app. So if I meet somebody on Facebook and I want to talk to them, then I start off just with using Messenger. Like, first I might chat on Messenger, then I might say, you want to do a voice call? Then do you want to do a video call? And then get to know, okay, I see that person, they're real, they're not in a call center, they're not, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's good. Okay, so I'm glad you trusted me, Corey, because I didn't know you and I was able to text you. So you saw that I was a real person because you see me on.
Yes. I need my cell phone bill paid, Sheri. So if you can wire some money.
Yeah. Now that I can do it. So here's my suggestion, and you tell me how ridiculous this is. I think all of us on here, all of the women in my group, and men too if they want, should friend these faux people. They should friend them and then message every person that's of their friends and tell them that this person is a phony. The real person, I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to do that for the other. I don't want to do that for the real person because he might not want more friends. But anyway, that's the thing.
Yeah, I think it's important. Community is important. I think if you feel like this person is like, you know, a threat, and he may have been, it's good to expose them.
Yeah, and I did that in my group. And I send a message to, I think there was about 10 of us that were my mutual friends with Winston. And I said, guys, he's a phony. And they picked up on, I told them reasons why, and they told me reasons why they thought so too. So that's helpful. Anyway,
yes,
I've got your back, girls, ladies. I know if I check one and you're my mutual friend with them, I'm going to let you know. And you let me know too. Terry actually is the one who let me know that he was a fake. And I said,
yeah, see,
the
ladies got to stick together.
Yeah, she's smart. She knew that, well, she did a deeper dive than I did. So she knew that, so she asked him how old he was. He was 40. And then she looked at his information, and it happened to be like the way that she calculated it. He graduated from high school at the age of 26. And then from college, like 2 years later. So he wasn't smart.
Well, you know, what's funny is, do you ever guys remember, did you guys ever see Daddy's Home? Remember Daddy's Home with Will Ferrell? Like,
I haven't seen that. No.
You haven't seen that one? Like, that's where he's like, he's like the second dad. He's like the second marriage, and like the first husband comes along, and he's like this like super like buff, you know. He's traveling the world. He's got like some secret job. Like, he's like a total stud, and like the Will Ferrell dad is like a total nerdy kind of guy and not very physically fit.
Tell me the name again, because I'm gonna want to watch it now. What did you say it was?
I think it's called Daddy's Home. I don't know. Correct me in the chat, guys, if you guys have seen it, but it's kind of funny. Yeah, there's a Christmas one, but the first one's funny because there's a scene in there where Brad, who's like the Will Ferrell character's at work, and his boss is telling some crazy story about how he met this woman online, and he married her, brought her to the US on like the whole like K-1 visa. And that she's like, and then she brought her son, who happened to be 26 years old. And then one day I came home, and, you know, I'm being kicked out of my house, and lo and behold, the 26-year-old's not really her son, it's her boyfriend. Like, it's really funny. It's one of those stories. It's like one of those stories you hear like, okay, it's, you know, he got defrauded online. They got their trip to the US, and yeah, now they're together in the US. So,
oh my gosh. So I am, I'm trying to think. I wonder, I can open up to everyone else to ask more questions, but is there more that you wanted to say from what we've been talking
I'm going to post a link for everybody. This is,
you do it in the chat, I'll copy and paste it.
I'll do the chat log. Okay. It's called fishingbox.com. And it can do a phishing training and then take a phishing test, or take the test and see how well you do on your own. If you suck at detecting phishing scams, then you can do the training. But I think it's important that everybody kind of learn some of these tricks of the trade.
Oh yeah.
For phishing. So these phishing can come in through like email. They could come in through SMS. So it's funny. I did get, our work fishes us all the time on purpose. They fish us to see if we're good at detecting phishing. And man, they have some really good ones. Like, oh my gosh, really good ones. So I was trying to find the one that recently came in. Anyway, it was really good. And then what it was is they had 2 attachments. The attachments were, let me see if I've got them. You guys will love it. I have to show you.
So for some reason, guys, I'm not able to see my live video in the group. I'm looking forward to send or to share the link. So I can just share it later, but I don't know why that happens. Why can't I see?
No worries. Here, I'll show you. Here's the other picture of the, so this is another picture of another message from a different phone number of the same woman.
Oh, yeah.
So like I keep blocking her numbers. Like she changes her number, or he changes his number, whoever scammer is, changes his number, and then and changes the photo. So yeah, very, very interesting, right? Well, let me see if I can find, like, really quick, a good example. Let's see here. I thought I took a picture of it. No. Anyway, it was a really good, picture. It was a really good phishing scam because it almost got me. And so it came in, it seemed all urgent. It seemed urgent, right? Like nothing scares a law enforcement guy like an email from a law firm that says, attached are some records that we need you to review for a case that involves you. And I'm like, am I being sued by somebody? Like, you immediately start thinking like weird stuff, right? And then I pause for a minute. I'm like, this is an external email, like check. And then I'm like, they're creating urgency, check. There's attachments, there's PDF attachments, check. I'm like, so I just what we have to do is when we see an email like that, we're supposed to send those emails to suspicious@fbi.com, right? Or fbi.gov. That's
just you.
And then when I sent it to them, I get a reply back that says, congratulations, you spotted the fish. So yeah.
Is that something we can do?
Yeah, well, yeah. So this phishing test will teach you how to spot those things.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Because like, and they might be pretty easy at the beginning, but like work makes them hard. Like work makes them super tricky. Like they'll say, hey, you're running late for the meeting you're supposed to be in. Here's the Zoom link. And we don't even use Zoom at work, but it catches people because they're like, oh, Zoom. And then they click on the link and they're like, you failed.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's very smart to give those little tests. I think we should give our group some tests. So I'm gonna create a profile. I'm gonna test you guys to see if, no, I'm not going to just say, I'm not even gonna say that.
It says Celeste says we're not streaming live.
Oh, we're not streaming live. What? Well, so Celeste, go to Thriving Singles Community. Is that, because that's what I tried to do, but is that what you're saying? It's not on Thriving Singles Community. Well, I'm recording it, so maybe
you can always post it later.
I've told everyone, yeah, I can just share the recording, but
yeah, if you want to take some questions, we could take some questions, but
so well, I'm gonna look at the chat because are there any unanswered questions on the chat? I always feel like they're just chatting with each other, and I don't know. So Ryan says
it says we're just recording but not streaming live.
Okay, so I could stream now. I mean, I could go back to that and actually do the streaming. Let's see if it's gonna let me. So yeah, for some reason I did try it. Oh, permission error. Okay, there's issues because I've had permission. I've been doing it for months. So I don't know what the issue is right now. It's okay. I'm not worried.
No worries.
I'm gonna post the recording. So everyone who's on here, why don't you turn off if you want to, turn off your mics turn on your mics and turn on your cameras if you want to. We'll just sit and chat and ask Corey questions. The way that I have liked to do it, and in the past it seems to work best, is just to raise your hand, either for me to see it, or your virtual hand is probably better, because then you go up to the top of the screen, and then we can let you guys answer questions or hear your comments one at a time, and then we can all however. I know you guys have kind of done both. You've had it where everyone's open, we just all chat, and that's fun too. So if you guys want to, you can, and let me see, I haven't actually turned anyone's cameras off, so you guys can all turn off your own cameras. Turn them on. I'm trying to say. Preview. I'm gonna put gallery here. Okay, awesome. You guys, I'm so glad. So it's fun. I didn't even know all of you were in here. I just keep accepting. I didn't know there's hundreds, Corey, hundreds of people here to see you.
Oh yeah, right.
There's 20. I see number 20.
20. There was 22, so we
I thought there was 25 at one point. So.
Oh yeah.
There was a few scammers that are like, I gotta get out of here.
I'm gonna be made known. Yeah. So yeah, if anyone does anyone have any questions or comments for Corey? Any more questions about his role, or what kinds of things he does or doesn't do, or in his role? Yeah, I don't know if I picked his brain enough. I still have a lot of questions that you guys might have the same ones. I'll ask him if no one else does. I'll still have more. So I guess my biggest question is just, with what we've learned, you've been very helpful. I guess just recognizing who they are, and
you just got to be suspicious. We have to always be like, we're so trusting with technology.
Yeah.
Like, you would never let a stranger come up to you in a library and then say, hi, give me your phone number. You might be a little suspicious.
You're a lovely lady.
You start your vetting process at that moment.
Yeah, well, so then I also wonder, and Heather has a question or comment. I just wonder if you could also touch on, if it's even worth touching, that there are these people who are real, like this person who is a real person in Salt Lake who's being scammed. And maybe their profile looks suspicious, like you mentioned at the very beginning, that maybe they just had to recreate their profile for a real good reason. So they probably discard it a lot, is what I wonder.
Yeah, I think if it was a real profile, you could go to the real guy, and he should have a history. I mean, Facebook was open to everybody. At first, it started at a schools only, but somewhere around 2005, 2006, it started to go to everybody. Like, it became a real thing. And so I think I joined around 2008, somewhere around there. And so you can go on my Facebook, and it goes all the way back to 2008. So like, that's a pretty darn good track record right there for me. Like, if anybody used my picture and then created a fake name, and then you did like a reverse image search, like I showed you how to do with Google Images, and then you saw there was this one profile called Corey Hubbard, and you went and looked at it, and there's like, 10 years of profile information, you're like, that's probably the real guy. Yeah. And then all those other fake profiles are not. So,
well, there's also hackers though too. I mean, I don't want to be skeptical. That's my point, is that, in fact, I just had a conversation today with someone. I asked him, the whole same thing I do is how do you show people who are a little bit skeptical that you are the real deal? And he said, I don't go out. He said, it's not my job to make people trust me or something in that. And I was like, yeah, well then, okay, see ya. I don't know. That's kind of how I think. Like, if you can't, anyway. But anyway,
well, I think real life talking like this, I think if you could get them to do a FaceTime or do some kind of video chat with you, and see the real person.
Yeah, I'll be nice to you, but I just don't want to waste a lot of energy. Like, throughout the whole day, he'll be trying to, and I just say, I'm not going to spend a lot of energy unless I know that I'm talking to a real live person.
Yeah. I all the stuff I get on SMS, I block right away. Like, I mean, we're inundated all the time with all kinds of crazy text messages from weirdos and people you don't even know. So I'm always block. So.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good. Okay, Heather, do you still have a question, or did you forget it now that we've talked so long after?
No. Best way to help teenagers be safe online.
Oh, be safe online.
Keep them offline.
They're really good.
Yeah. The problem is
Yeah,
that
right.
they've grown up with the technology, and to them it's just so normal, right? I mean, think back when before we had technology, well, some of us here, before we had the internet, we had a phone with a cord, and people would telemarket, right? They'd call the house, they'd say, hey, you won the sweepstakes, right? That's how people used to scam you back in the day. And they would say something like, you won the sweepstakes, and for us to send you the money, we need you to pay the taxes up front. The taxes are $275, and please send it to this PO box and we'll get you your winnings. And people would fall for it. Nowadays, it's just a lot easier with technology.
Wow. So Brandy is saying
With kids, I'm sorry, let me go back. I'm sorry, Heather, but with kids, you're just gonna have to educate them. You just gonna have to say, don't trust people. You don't know who's on the other side of that screen. Make sure you vet them, talk to people, like we were saying, if you want to get to know somebody online, you want to talk to them face to face, either on FaceTime, face to face, not actual face to face, but you're just gonna have to educate them that it's just a wild west out there, and they got to be careful. They can't trust everything they do.
Yeah, that you were kind of joking earlier about the men that fall for the sexy women, and I think about that, multiply that by 10 for the teenagers.
Yeah, they get duped too.
Yes.
So the big thing for the kids, I mean, this is what we've seen out there, and this is very, very troublesome. But what happens is somebody will act like a teenager, but they're in these call centers. They'll act like a teenager, and then they'll start this relationship online. So the relationship starts online, and then they start to do a little bit of sexting, like, hey, send me a picture of, yourself, and I'll send you a picture of myself. And they've never actually did the video call. Like this is not, I'm telling you, they've done all this without ever like talking face to face on a call.
Wow.
It's been all text messages, and the person has believed the profile picture they saw. And then the girl will take a topless picture or take a nude picture and send it. Well, then the guy will send a message back saying, if you don't pay me X amount of dollars, I'm going to send this to your mom, your dad, everybody at your school.
Yeah.
And the kid gets extorted. And they thought they were actually talking to a real person.
That I heard that
But
story.
they never made an actual like face-to-face call. They've never like met in person.
That's a good way, and I've heard of someone doing that it was at UVU. They sent out an announcement about that the girl actually killed herself. She committed suicide for that. You're a boy.
It's sad because
he just is like, I can't live with this. I couldn't live with that shame. I don't want my parents knowing. I think it was a guy actually, not a girl, but
yeah.
To be
it was probably some guy who was acting like a girl.
Don't do that ever. Yeah, don't give anyone anything.
It was probably a guy acting like a girl and said, hey, send me a picture of your, and he did. And then he sent it back to him saying, I'm going to post this all over BYU. I'm going to send it to your family if you don't send me $1,000. Well, I'm sure he sent $1,000, and then they came back and said, I want another $1,000.
Yeah.
And this became a regular, he probably thought he's never going to get out from under this. And sad. Really
so
sad.
Heather, does that answer your question? Do you need? Can you tell us specific things, Corey, or did that answer Heather? I would love to know rules we could give our kids. Is that what you?
Look, you can't prevent them from being online. That's
right.
just how they're living right now. So it makes sense. The answer is purely just to educate them, the same way we are educating ourselves. Make sure that they get the same information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't trust, and
Yeah.
try to have that face-to-face conversation. I think a lot of teenagers now have these whole relationships without ever seeing somebody live on camera. Like, it's so weird, but they do it all the time. It's scary.
There's a lot to be said too about it depends on the situation a little bit, but being out in situations where you can actually meet people in real life as opposed to doing everything online is a nice thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's not happening as much right now, in my opinion. For example, a few weeks ago, I met Corey and I met Celeste
Oh yeah.
in person, and it was really nice to see them in person.
Yeah.
We're real.
Um,
They're real.
I'm not convinced.
You shouldn't be. You
Deep
trust and
fakes,
verify.
right?
That's
Deep
a great
fakes.
way to
Yeah.
verify.
So
But you cannot just go meet somebody in a private setting in this day and age.
Yeah.
And that's a sad fact.
Yeah.
You know, that reminds me too, even online, if you see that someone is a mutual friend of 4 other people that you trust, then you're like, well, it must be legit. But actually he's scamming all of us, just so you know. Anyway, that's something to be mindful too.
Oh, it's funny is you can go and check, like, so if a girlfriend requests me, I'll check their like associate friends. And if I see that the 15 like similar friends of mine are all dudes, I'm like, they all got snagged just like they're trying to snag me. like none of the girls that I know, it's like they're all guys. Like, yeah, that's pretty suspicious.
The one that
Yeah.
the one that gets to me is I get a friend request from somebody that, one, I've never met, and two, I don't know anybody or have any common friends with them.
Mm.
And that makes absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah.
Why would they be sending me a friend request if there's nothing in common?
It's a really good point. How did they even find me? Yeah.
Well, if they're super hot, you'd probably think like, maybe I should. Like,
Yeah. True.
You
Is
know,
that
I
5-second
hate to
ego
say
that
this,
kicks in,
but
you're
usually
like,
the ones that's super hot are also super psycho.
Or fake. Yeah. It's a fake.
You have to be real careful anymore. So
Depends
Yeah,
on
I
the
got an observation
Yeah.
with my kids. Whenever I go check on them, they're always on video with chat with all their friends. I'll peek in their rooms and they got like just like here, half a dozen people on the screen, and I have to be
Well, that's
careful when I
good.
poke my head in
That's
there.
good.
Yeah, that is a good way though, for only be friends with people that you know are real live people.
Yeah.
And maybe not friend strangers too. Would you say that for kids or teenagers? Don't.
Oh, strangers are dangerous. I gotta be careful because there could be predators trying to get your kid to meet with them. So that's still gonna happen. I mean, we did a lot of undercover work where we pretended that we were the kid, and we had a lot of guys saying, hey, meet me at the 7-Eleven, meet me over here. And and if we actually thought that the person was wanted to meet a 13-year-old, then we schedule a meeting, the person would go show up, and then we'd show up and arrest them. So,
Crazy.
Oh, it is crazy.
but they did show up. Showed up with beer and condoms, exactly what we told them to bring.
Unbelievable.
So is there anything we could ask them that's not obvious? Like, I'm not going to say, are you a scammer? Because of course they're going to say no, but I just make my own judgments, right? And do my own thing.
You have to do your own vetting.
I'm going to defend you. Yeah.
And trust your instincts, trust all your feelings. Yeah.
I don't know how true this is because so much of this can be set up, but if you have some kind of a conversation, even if it's text, you can take the information and you can plug a lot of that into Google and see if any of it checks out. Has this person lived in this town? Is this person, what have you?
It's worth it. Yeah. So no,
Take a few minutes and do some research.
Don't give them money. Don't meet them in person.
Don't give them money.
Yeah.
If you're going to meet somebody needs to know where you're going.
I guess if you
make sure you get yourself there, and you got a way to get yourself back from there.
Well, I saw a post today from someone that posted in one of our groups that it was some news report of they met a guy and he killed him or something. And his message was, don't ever meet a stranger. And it was a public place, but there was no one around. So if you're going to meet in a public place, just do
there's
it
so many ways. Like I said, there's so many ways to get to know somebody before you ever meet them in person. You can talk on video. You can do I just think that talking on the phone, talking in video chats is a way to get to know somebody. Actually see them, because if you can read body language I mean, you could tell when somebody's being fake or they're not being honest. I mean, you could tell. So
No, well, I'm being honest. You're
I'm
told
being honest. Yeah. So
body language. Yeah, tell us that for 2 minutes. Tell us about body language. How can we tell?
oh yeah, you can read a lot in body language, but like we were joking earlier before we started that like your body will indicate things like I'm crossing my arms, right? So this might mean she asked me a question that's a little uncomfortable, so I fold my arms, right? And you can tell my body language, I'm a little like hesitant maybe, or I don't want to give all the secrets. So my body language.
Yeah, but that's just the nervous guy too.
No,
The true scammer probably is aware of a lot of that, and they've practiced hiding it.
No, they're not. But like when we talk to people and they don't want to give us like the information and they want to lie or they're holding something back, they'll fold their arms or they'll cover their mouth. So these are indicators they have no idea they're doing because they're like, I don't want to confess. So this like, you know.
Yeah, but I will also say that in an interrogation type scenario, people get very nervous too.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Your body will react how it's reacting. So if I never committed a homicide, if I never committed a murder, and you're asking me did I commit a murder, I'm not going to go, I'm so nervous about that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be like, no, I didn't do that. Absolutely not. That I did not murder somebody. And so you would know from my body language that I was adamant about it. But if you saw me lean back and fold my arms and then go, my body language is going, don't say it. You know, you killed that person. Don't say it. And so you don't even know you're doing it. It's just your body is reacting to the nervousness of the question.
Wasn't there a TV show that was based completely on reading body language several years ago?
Yeah, I can't remember, but there probably was.
So Anne Washburn is a body language expert. She's in the Thriving Singles community. But if you look her up, Anne Washburn on YouTube, she has some videos on body language. She is an expert. She teaches it.
So if you ask somebody if they're lying, and they say, well, are you being truthful? And you're like, of course I am, right? I would never lie. Like your head just starts to turn no, and you don't even know you're doing it. Yeah. Sometimes, you can catch that. Not everybody does it. I'm not saying that everybody does these, but I'm giving like a smattering of things, and I might pick out, it might be this, it might be this, it might be while you're saying yes, your head's saying no, or while you're saying no, your head's kind of nodding like this. Like you're kind of, it's just weird how your body reacts.
Okay.
So it's just
Leanne said the show was light. No. Okay.
Yeah. So body language is very interesting when you read it. I'm over exaggerating it, but you'll see it. Like it just somebody just like touches their mouth, or just they're subtle, but they're little. I mean, unless somebody wants to sit there like a robot, they're not. They're gonna have like reactions. They're gonna look up to the right. Like there's always like when you ask them a question, they're about to lie. They look up and to the right. Like it's just really weird how they do it. So
So what does up and to the left mean?
I don't know. It just people always kind of look. They kind of just glance up to the right. I don't know why it is. Maybe it's left brain, right brain. I don't know. But
well, I've heard that it's you're thinking. You're going back and you're looking back, and that's what Anne says. You're looking back into your.
Yeah, you're kind of going. What lie am I going to go to? Right, like.
And if you look to the left, it's on.
Like I don't know.
Has a great idea. Suggestion. I didn't notice.
Oh, I do. What's my great idea? What'd I say?
You said, okay, this is one thing that I also go with. If those types of men don't usually attract to you in person, they usually won't attract you online. That's one good way. So yeah, they're hitting on me. And that's what my first sign. I just say, yeah, thanks for playing, block. And then there's another one that you said, I asked one dude to send me a pic of himself doing a peace sign. And he said, what's a peace sign?
That's a good one.
Yeah, he was claiming he was in the military too, and I'm all, send me a picture of you with a peace sign. He's like, well, what's a peace sign? I'm like, dude, come on now.
Oh, someone else suggested that.
Give peace a chance. Give peace a chance.
I was like, no, sorry, buddy. So,
although you have to admit, Celeste, there's a certain generation that probably is not quite as aware of a peace sign.
You know, but
Well, then Celeste does not need to be dating that generation.
that's right. I'm like, he was supposed to be my age-ish, you know, so like anyway.
Exactly. Hey, if you can't get my 80s reference jokes, then we've got an issue about how old you are.
That's right. That's right.
Like if I say Mr. D, I pity the fool, and you're like, who's Mr. D and what's pity the fool? Like, all right, well, I know you're in your 20s and you should not be dating me.
Oh my God, those are some good tests. So
I also want to just throw something out that I think, okay, like you said, I think that you have to kind of go with your gut and your natural instinct. Okay, is this person really going to want to be attracted to me? Like this seems a little odd, right? But I had a friend of mine that got caught in a scam of sorts. He was the real person, so he was using his real photos and things like that. But he had created like a fake website and a fake, like he had created a Facebook page about himself, but it was all false. Like everything he put on there was false. Everything. And so he was always feeding her lies, always feeding her like this dream, fantasy. And she wanted it to be so true. Like she just wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this ain't real. Like this is a fantasy. There's no way this dude is real. And so I did some research. I was trying to help her see like this guy's not real, but I mean, it took a lot. And finally he just would never let her come visit. He would, like it was always like things falling through. And so sometimes they're using the real photos, but I mean, not as much as usually they use fake.
They never video chatted. They never talked on the phone.
He even was talking to her parents because he was trying to get money, even though he was saying he was a millionaire and he owned all these businesses and stuff like that. He was saying like, oh, it's tied up. I need to get money to do whatever and whatever,
Yeah,
and
always an excuse.
Yeah, it was really super sketchy, but she wanted it to be true. And so
well, that's true, right? And then again, I mean, that's because just like I said, the guys have for 5 seconds, they automatically think they're a stud all of a sudden because like this hot girl's hitting on them, right? And then you kind of come to your senses you come to your senses and go, wait a minute, this can't be right. It's a joke when we counsel people who go overseas and from our agencies or even other government agencies, we're like, dude, you're going to Israel, and if you're not cool with the ladies here, you're not cool with the ladies there, right? And it's just really weird, but these nerdy guys with, sorry guys, but the nerdy guys with comb overs and pocket protectors, if the woman looks like the actress that plays Wonder Woman, who's from Israel, if she's hitting on you and you got a comb over and a pocket protector, come on, buddy, that's a red flag right there. Come on.
Also, you're probably not tall enough.
Probably not tall enough either.
I had it was a little different, and it's been several years ago. I think some of you know I do ham radio. I got a email one time from a guy, and through the ARRL, you can set up so you get email at your call sign at arrl.net. And it forwards to your regular email. So I got this email from this guy coming in through that ARRL net. Hey, there's this online listing for a bunch of stuff that you've got for sale. And I just wanted to check and see if it was for real. Because he was asking for send payment and I'll send it to you, such and such. And I hadn't listed a darn thing for sale. Yeah. So there's all kinds of weird things going on out there. And
this is good. Brandy said, I usually ask the question who friend requested me, how I know them or how we met. That's a good way. I usually ask the person who friend requested you. So if you have suspicion, then you say, why, how do I know you? And have we met, or how did you find me? Is that what you're asking? Is that what you say, Brandy? Maybe she doesn't want to answer in...
Sorry, I'm eating.
That's okay.
So when I usually send an email, I go, well, how do you know me? Why? Like, I just start asking questions like, why did you friend request me? Or if there's if I already have that person as a Facebook friend and they resend it, I go, well, how did we meet? Because that way, if they can't tell me how we met, they don't know me. It's fake. And then I'll just usually let that other person know, hey, someone took your profile and made your name and things like that. So
Yeah, those are easier to spot because you'll get somebody like Celeste, say Celeste friend requests me. All of a sudden out of the blue, I'm like, well, I thought we were friends. Like, and then I'll go check and I'm like, we are friends. But all of a sudden I'm getting this new request from another Celeste Miller that has her picture. I mean, you pretty much know, you're like, hey, I think you got hacked. You know, we've all seen that. So that's not as prevalent as just, let me see if I can convince this woman that I'm the man of her dreams. Like, I'm a millionaire. Yeah, I can try to hit all those buttons, right? Millionaire, I'll take good care of you. I'll buy you a nice house, get you a big car. Look at my 6-pack.
Yeah. Well,
the
like,
guys are the same way, you know. The guys are like, man, I just want that trophy wife, you know. She's got everything, you know, checking those boxes.
Yeah. Gosh, these scammers. So what do you do when you catch them? Do you like rip out their toenails and fingernails and
yeah, well, not quite.
Like 24. I think I know about FBI.
It's hard internationally. The problem is the internet is free and wild and no borders, but the real courts and laws, they have treaties and borders. And so it's very hard to track down people when they're international to bring them to justice. A lot of times, I spent some time overseas working for the Bureau, and you have to work with your partners there and try to get them prosecuted under the laws of that country. And so we spent a lot of time working with local law enforcement in these countries, training them, liaisoning, trying to convince them, you know, for the good of, you know, their country and for their country's reputation, to go after these criminals and prosecute them. But not all countries, you know, are, you know, some of them like their corruption, and there are countries where that the police and the law enforcement are involved in these big call centers and they get kickbacks. And so, you know, trying to get them prosecuted, it's difficult.
Yeah. So I have to say this, and I'll probably embarrass you, Corey. So I'm sorry if I embarrass you. But in order to be accepted by the FBI, you have to have a 100% a pristine record. From my experience, from what I understand.
Yeah. Well, we have to get a background check every 5 years.
Yes. Oh, every 5 years.
So,
and there's also
so every 5 years they do a reinvestigation. So I'm actually in the middle of another reinvestigation right now. So maybe one of you guys will get a phone call.
So he has
Corey ever done these like 50 bad things?
So I applied to work at the FBI many years ago, and it had the first application. I don't know if you still do this, but I had 10 years of, they had to go back 10 years, and they asked for all of my jobs, all of the places that I lived, all of my roommates, all of my family members. If any of my family members had ever served time in prison or done anything that was breaking a law, or anyone that I've ever associated with, have they ever had anything that was a little shady? So, so Corey's a good guy.
That's to start it off. That's to get started. So they went back to age 16. I came in at 35 when I joined the Bureau. They went back to age 16. So that whole era was investigated. I was a little nervous. I was like, 16. I did a lot of crazy stuff in my youth.
Hey, well, that's good information too. We could tell our teenagers, you guys, if you ever want to work for the FBI, you need to keep a clean record.
And it's not just the FBI.
Any security.
There's a lot of, I'll use the term private contractors. Most of them are government type contracts, but the same type of investigations apply.
So if you want to work on a special project for, like, say, Raytheon or Boeing, they're going to be like, well, you can't work on the project because you can't get a clearance. So you can go and work on the the private aircraft industry, but the government aircraft you can't work on. So, but yeah, every 5 years, that block of time, they go back and they investigate the last 5 years. So ever since my first coming into the Bureau investigation, then after I was in 5 years, then they do a 5-year reinvestigation, polygraph, the whole thing. So
good. Keep showing your toes. Keep shit high.
So I guess it's funny because I don't like to put what I do for a living on any kind of Facebook. It's on my LinkedIn, but I don't really talk about my job on Facebook too much. But so
But could you just like make up some like BS thing like spy versus spy or
Well, he's a secret agent. You don't even need to make anything up. He's the cool. He's the cool you get.
apprentice to Jacques Cousteau.
Either, so
That's right.
Maxwell,
I didn't hear what Clint said.
I don't list my employers on Facebook.
Oh, it's true.
And I've got to where I don't post a lot on Facebook. I read a lot, but I don't post a lot.
So what is
you might be suspicious, Clint. You might be one of those suspicious ones that have
Well, no, I wonder
Corey, let me just set you straight. Absolutely, I'm suspicious. You need to be careful. You need to make sure you're doing your investigation.
No, I meant when girls are checking your profile out. Because trust me.
Oh yeah, and I've heard that once or twice. Now
They're
my
like, hey,
profile
you don't have
goes
anything
back
on
to,
your
like,
profile.
2009.
Yeah, they might not even friend you. You might be missing out on being friended, Clint, if you don't say where you're working. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you gotta post some pictures. Every time you go to Disneyland, post like a bunch of pictures. Every time you do a selfie on Selfie Sunday, post it. You got to get that track record out there. You can't look suspicious like he's got 4 posts in the last 9 years.
I think my last picture is like 2 years on Facebook.
There you go.
Yeah, that looks suspicious. It looks like Clint, the real Clint, died 2 years ago, and somebody took over his account.
So after this education, everyone's going to go and friend you, Clint.
Well, you know, I'm not all that concerned about it at this point.
Yeah.
Well, if you're using Facebook to kind of get out there and meet the ladies, then you got to build that profile up. You got to go out next time you're at the airport, get a picture with those Lear jets. Post all that stuff.
You know what, Clint? I know a really good dating coach that can help you with all that.
Yes.
Throwing that out there.
He knows who.
Yeah,
Right?
next time you see a Corvette, Clint, just stop right in front of that Corvette and get a selfie with it and post it. You got Lear
I
jets.
just need to go into work and take
awesome
a couple
for you.
pictures in the cockpit. That'll work.
Gosh. So funny. Corey, I have a question for you, and I'm kind of reversing. You might, I don't know. I'm just curious if you can, you might not be able to explain this, but I'm curious what would be an example of a day in the life of Corey in your office or doing your job. What kinds of things do you do? I mean, you serve. You might not be able to answer it, so
I got a feeling Corey's up with the ladder just enough that way too much of his day is bureaucracy, not real work.
A little bit now, but yeah. So I'm a unit chief. So I'm a unit chief now. So I'm a couple levels up above a special agent. So I manage other supervisory special agents who manage special agents. So in my unit, we do technical operations. So whenever you want to get a camera, a mic, or some GPS thing or whatever, you want to do something technical, it's the kind of stuff you see in the movies, like if you want to do something technical, that's kind of what our unit does. So we do all the training. We train up what we call tech agents or technically trained agents. And those guys go out and do all the super secret stuff. So that's kind of my unit. So in a day in a life, like this week, we have a couple of classes, a couple of guys coming in for some special training and the special techniques. And then whenever there's a major incident that happens out there in the world, a lot of times my unit gets put on standby, or we'll fly out to that region to provide support. So if something comes up like, hey, we found a bunch of laptops and we want to do forensics on them, then, talk to Corey and we'll get you pointed to the right people. Or if, hey, we're trying to locate somebody who's, on the run, like what techniques can we do to find them? So they'll ask my unit, like, what should we do? And then I'll point them either, right direction to do that. So it's busy. And, my unit kind of has the oversight of all the tech programs across the Bureau. So it keeps us kind of busy.
Wow. So I had a little, well, I'm safe. I have a lot of skepticism, not so much that I'm negative, about everything, but it kind of stops me sometimes, even in my business. So it would be so good. Do you have any kind of website or something we could go to that has a list of things we can be careful for as a business owner? Like things,
yeah, so
I just want to be careful.
Yeah, you can go to ic3.gov. So IC is in internet crime and the number 3.gov. There's some resources there. That's also a place to report crimes.
Oh,
So the problem with these little petty crimes, like these little small crimes that happen all over the internet. I scored 20,000 from one person and 5,000 from another person. They're in two different states.
Mhm.
How do we correlate that information to, because in both those states, at a federal level, those are too small of crimes, dollar amounts to justify a full-fledged investigation. But if you report it to IC3, they pull that information together. And now the same perpetrator who's committed this same $10,000 crime, they did it 100 times. Now the dollar amount is at an amount that I think a U.S. attorney would take the case or prosecute the case, and then the FBI would open a case in something of that nature. So
and they can find the real person, right? They can find the person behind the fake profile, right?
So if it's a big enough case, like if we see that the same actors are doing the same crimes and there's a large dollar amount, then the Bureau will open a case, and then they'll be throwing those cyber investigative resources at that person. So
yeah, so cool.
But it's frustrating because you're like, I'm so important, I lost $10,000, and we're like, oh, boo-hoo, 10,000 is kind of small in our world, but your world is not. But in the Bureau's world, we're like, we can't open a case in every $10,000 crime that happens out there. We'd just be inundated with thousands and thousands of investigations per agent. So we try to pull those things together and make one big case out of it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any more questions or comments for Corey before we say goodnight? For Corey, it's 11:30. So we should all thank you for coming on here. So East Coast, Eastern time. Well, thank you for doing this with this. That was awesome. And so if anyone else has more questions, you can reach out to Corey, or I will post this recording as long as it worked. I'm surprised it didn't get streamed. So I will post this in the Facebook group. And if you guys want to ask questions there, you can do that as well. And I'll let Corey know. Awesome. You guys, thanks for joining.
Thank you guys.
Have a good night.
See everybody.
Good luck out there. Be safe out there.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.